Hello, everybody, my little Get Balanced people. Actually, welcome to Get Balanced 2020. I am Patty Hall, and I actually do a bunch of live and recorded videos for Get Balanced 2020, which is basically how to balance your life through your mind, spirit, and your body. So if you've never seen those before, if you go to my website, at getbalance2020.com and go to the top where it says YouTube, you can actually see a bunch of free videos. The mind part is basically how to transform your process of your thinking, because everything that we do, it's all about how we think. So and how to better our lives, to get away from some of the old bad habits, some of the bad things that we were taught. Well, actually, they aren't bad, they're incorrect ways of thinking. I don't like the word bad. They're incorrect, and it could have been due to just the way that somebody was brought up, the way they brought up, and then it just sort of trickles down. So it teaches you how to persevere, how to get through your storms, how to figure out how to change some of those bad habits to better healthy habits. The spirit is all about combining mind and spirit together. And what that means is we learn that everything we do in our life is based from our spirit. Our spirit speaks to our soul, which is our head, and our head, actually our body, begins to react on how our soul is. So if we're wrong with our spirit from the first place, then we're making not the right decisions. We're making them from our head, not from our heart. And then we end up our body doing things that we probably don't want to do, or sometimes we do want to do, or it could be abusive to our bodies and or our mind and that kind of thing. So that's what Get Balanced is for. And then the body part, I teach about nutrition and fitness, and that's where that is. But today it's sort of like a cross between, I was going to say more mind than anything, because I've had a lot of people in the past ask me questions about this, but I've also been doing a ton of research and also learning a lot about the subject. And so a lot of people come up and ask me, as like, well, I'm just looking for love. And I'm like, okay, well, you're looking, but what are you looking for, and what is your intent? So a lot of the times when we talk about love per se, it's sort of a cross between mind and spirit, because in all reality, we shouldn't need to find love. Love should be finding us, because that's the spiritual connection. So when we talk about the title there, is it from the creator or is it motivation? So a lot of the times we motivate, or excuse me, manipulate to find it. We actually manipulate how we move around a relationship, how we interact, and how we do all that kind of stuff, and to make it happen, when in all actuality, maybe it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So the thing is that as a single person, now if you're married, help somebody out, because what I'm going to talk about not only is about manipulation, but also about letting our divine pick our person for us. Because if you don't believe in God, you might believe in the universe, you might believe in Allah, you might believe in something spiritual, and that's where we need to allow them to bring them to us, for a couple of reasons. But we also don't want to find somebody and have it manipulated for the wrong reasons, hurtful reasons, maybe destructive reasons. So, and then the third thing I want to talk about is catfishing. And I have in my criminal justice studies, this is what I focused on K-1 visa scams, romance scams, online scams, money scams. But this, I want to be able to educate people to protect themselves. But the main things I want to focus in on today is about the finding of love, if we're really supposed to find it. So being single, for one, is not a bad thing. Sometimes we actually need to be single in order to prepare ourselves, because sometimes we need to make ourselves whole before we go and want to bring somebody else into our life. A lot of us do, and we get married and then we divorce and we marry and divorce, or maybe we get in relationship after relationship, or maybe even you go from one relationship, you're not even out of that one, and you're looking at somebody else, and then you're into that, and then you're on to somebody else. There's a lot of brokenness in that. And so being single is not a bad time, because a lot of the times, if you're going to look at the spiritual end, that is where we can actually focus on ourselves and focus on our divine, and really find out what is meant for our life and who is meant for our life and when, sort of like the 5 W's: when, what, where, who, and how. All that kind of stuff is done in our singleness. Now, if we don't give ourselves time in order to do that in our singleness, then when are we going to do it? When we're already broken with somebody else, and then we're affecting somebody else with us, or maybe we're bringing our baggage into that other person's life when really they didn't need that baggage at all, or are they bringing their baggage into our life when we should not have allowed that baggage in the first place? How can we do that if we don't take time in our singleness to find out actually where our standards, our boundaries, where our acceptance of things in our life, and be strong enough to say, no, that's not acceptable in my life. For you, okay, not a problem. But for me, that's not acceptable in my life. Or I'm not going to go down that low. Sometimes we find people in our lives. It doesn't even have to be for a love relationship. We can find friends or whatever, and they want you to stoop down to their standards when you need to be requiring them to step up to yours. So if you look in a lot of spiritual beliefs, they'll say, well, we don't judge anybody. There's one thing that you should judge somebody on, is to keep your standards here and make them grow and come up to your standards rather than lower to their standards. Because the thing is that we want to grow up, we want to grow in light and spirit. We don't want to start going down and be more destructive to our life. We want to grow and be happy in our life. So that's why singleness is really important, because we can actually focus in on that, hone in on that, do our homework on ourselves, and find out where our weak points are and maybe work on those. Find out and ask ourselves those strong, hard questions. Walk in the truth. What is truthful to me? What is it that I will put up with, what I won't put up with, what I'm going to have my standards up on and not? And so that's why it's really important, before anybody gets into a dating situation or brings anybody in or goes anywhere, is that they need to understand what their intent is when they do begin dating. Now, if this is for the younger generation, great. Now, if you're married, great. If you've had a successful long marriage, then that is fantastic. But what you looked for in your marriage and what you were looking for may be different for what your friend or your family might be needing in their journey and their life. So when we talk about that, so we want to look at things when we step back and we've done our homework and we've actually worked on ourselves and we're going into a relationship whole. And what I mean by that, you're not going in to rescue somebody. Somebody's not going in to rescue you. You're not codependent on anybody. You're not creating codependency, or they're not creating codependency for you. So those are the things that we have to look at from the very beginning, looking at the roots. And sometimes we have to sort of go back to our past and look at maybe our family dynamics. Were your parents married many years and their parents married many years? And, maybe they're a role model for that. Maybe your parent has been married several times. Maybe there was a dad in the picture. Maybe there wasn't. We sort of looking at the history can sort of give you an idea, but that doesn't say that your life is going to turn out that way. Not at all. It's all because of how you set your life up for yourself and your future partner, whoever that is. So the thing is that singleness needs to happen before you do anything in, quote, finding love. So now that we're going to hit that topic, so once you get through the homework and everything like that, and also I think I have a singleness video on the website. So if you go to getbalance2020.com and hit the YouTube up there, you probably will find one on singleness and why it's so important, and some tips on that, what to work on while you're being single. So that's for another video. So, but this one here is about looking for love, finding love, and we want to know if this is actually a healthy love? Is this a soul tie versus a soul mate or a mate for your soul? Or is this somebody that's really sort of manipulating to become a relationship? Does that make sense? So there's two ways that actually it can happen. So majority of the time it's going to happen through manipulation, because there is so many games, as you know, out there between men and women, women and men. I mean, there's videos after videos after videos, and it's really interesting. I've been listening to some inspirational speakers, and on their projective, or not their projective, their perspective of really a man's way of thinking and a woman's way of thinking. And in all reality, when you look at it, we do not think the same. As we know, we do not think the same. And what men can get away with, women cannot. What women can do, men will not sometimes accept and do. It's like you have to sort of look at it as dating as like a game. Unfortunately, a game. You need to know the rules of each gender in order to play the game successfully. I don't like that word, but in all reality, it's a mindset versus a different mindset, and what society allows one mindset to get away with and this mindset to get away with or not. So when you're dating, you have to sort of look at, let's give a hypothetical. So you bump into somebody, you guys want to go out on a first date. What do? Of course, you're going to put on your best. The girl might giggle at his jokes. Or it's, oh, you're so good looking. Oh my gosh, oh yeah. And in all reality, his jokes aren't funny. You really don't want to laugh. And maybe he isn't that good looking, but maybe he had a kind heart or something like that. So the thing is that that's the game. That is a game. That is like it's not even a courting game. It's like, I'm going to manipulate it so that I'm going to make it work out so that maybe he'll ask me out a second time. What's wrong with this picture? You've already started and set the standard that he thinks that you think he's funny, you think he's good looking. In all reality, you didn't walk in truth in actually being honest about it. I mean, you don't have to go and say, hey man, dude, you're ugly as, or you don't have to say, keep your day job, your job suck, or your jokes suck. You don't want to do that. But what I'm saying is, when you come out of the chute being honest, and that's why singleness is so important, come out of the chute of being honest, then in all reality, that is going to shine and show right there. And that is going to help you meet the right people, that law of attraction, meet the right people, not waste time, not have to manipulate, not have to go that route. Does that make sense? So in that, and I could do a whole thing about women and men and dating and stuff like that, and maybe I should, but because a lot of the times women fall, I'm not saying everybody, women fall short in allowing men to get away with a lot of stuff they shouldn't. Because the thing is that if we were truthful and honest, let me give you another hypothetical. So you start dating somebody and they're talking to you. Maybe you talk once a day for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever. And when you're starting to get to know somebody, you should be talking almost every day. Because the thing is, that's how you get to know somebody, whether you spend an hour on the phone, maybe you're Skyping, maybe you're FaceTiming, definitely something like that. But the thing is, it's important to get to know, because then that way you have an idea. But then you start talking for a week, and then you're talking every day, and then all of a sudden, bam, no phone calls for another 4 or 5 days. And you're thinking, oh, he just got busy. Or then the doubtfulness comes in, and it's like, well, maybe I said something. Maybe I shouldn't. Stop all that, because then the thing is, what you're doing is you're lowering your standards to basically say, well, maybe I wasn't worthy enough. No, you're worthy enough for him to all of a sudden drop off and go maybe check out the grass on the other side of the fence for a while, and then come back to you and then just act like nothing's happened. No, you need to check on that, because the thing is, you're lowering your standards. And if you're going to begin thinking about a relationship, and maybe this is the third, maybe this is, maybe 10 dates in or something like that, but then you're wanting to make sure that it's something that is going to grow, then he needs to step up to the plate and not play the games. So manipulation is a thing. It's a manipulation to basically say, you know what? Oh, she's going to be thinking about me. Oh, she's going to be wondering, what I'm doing. She's going to be, thinking, what did she do wrong? All that kind of stuff. It's a male thought game. And like I said, you've got to allow him to know that that's not acceptable in your life. In your standards, you need to keep your standards up. And that's not acceptable. If he wants to be a little boy and play those games, then bye, lose his number. There's a lot of fish out in the sea. So that's sort of a manipulating kind of thing. So when you go to meet somebody, you have to ask yourself, step back, analyze it. Is this a person that I really want to get to know? Or if they're coming to you, why? What is the purpose? What is their intent to come and date you? Really, in all sense, you have to look at yourself, whether you're male or female. Mostly it's the females. You're the prize. You're the one that holds all the cards for the guy, because guys are a sexual being. They're a visual being. End of story. First thing that they're trying to think about, oh, wow. It's sort of like guys now at my age, they want to be friends. No, they don't. No, they don't. Women do not want to be friends at my age. I mean, this is not the way it works. This is not the way God created us. But as a visual being, men are a visual being. They're going to come and it's like, okay, so what do you want? So you know what they want? They want the cookie. But even if they didn't want the cookie right off, okay, they still want it. And they're going to figure a way, because it's all about the game, the hunt, the chase. That is just the way they're built. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's the way they're built. And we're glad that they're built that way, because then they actually do the more pursuing. They try to whatever they want. They're however bad they want something. And that's the way they're created. Now, it's the woman's job to make sure that they have their ducks in a row, their things in order to know what they want. Some women are all just all about the sex. That's great. If that's your thing, you go right about it. And if that's what you're happy with, you go right about it. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about couples or people that want to get into a relationship. Maybe go the long term, get married, maybe, that kind of thing. So, and I'm talking more about heterosexuals, but it doesn't have to go into that manner. It can go any which way you want to put it. This is just factual information. So the thing is that when we look at that, we have to step back as women and say, okay, he wants to go out on a date. Okay, he's good looking, he's nice, he seems to be nice. I always look at shoes. I look at shoes because I can usually tell from shoes. Well, being an empath, I can tell a lot more than just the shoes. But I look at the shoes because I want to see if they're blowing smoke up my butt. Because if the shoes are nice and kept and clean, then that's great. If they're gnarly and nasty and old and worn out, and they want to date, it's like, okay, dude, you don't want to even take care of yourself. Although they might be in a situation where maybe they just got off of work or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just out in general in the day, or are they wearing their pants down below their butt cheeks, that kind of thing. But anyway, so you have to sort of look at that as, I forgot where I was going with that. You sort of have to look at that as what you're actually intending to date about. So when we look at dating, again, go back to the why, what, who's, how, and when. And I would say first off, and this is the biggest thing I'm going to tell you, is that I think when people look at dating, now I look at dating in a very different way. I look at dating as a spiritual thing for me. And you might say, oh my gosh, there she goes on the spiritual thing. No, what I mean is, what is a soul tie and what is a mate for my soul? Because in all reality is, we actually should be busy in our life trying to get everything straightened up, everything forward, and then usually love will show itself when it's time for you, when you are at a place in your life that can handle and be ready for it. Now that's spiritual intervention. That's divine intervention. That somebody is presented to you, and that's the way it should be, presented to you, and not having to go look and search and find. And so you put yourself out there, and that's fine. You put yourself out there very nicely. You go to the grocery store, you don't look like you're in your pajamas. You belong to a gym, maybe belong to some type of club, maybe. And that's what I'm saying, you're out there socializing, excuse me, socializing, doing your thing. If you belong to a church, maybe you serve in something, or just whatever it is, belong to a sports club, belong to a motorcycle group, whatever it is, you're doing your thing. And then who knows at what time, whatever or whoever is presented to you. That's more of a divine intervention that you should be looking for. Because when that happens, if you believe in God or universe or whatever, that's when the Creator is giving you somebody to be your helper, not your other half, not you complete me, all that kind of stuff. It is a helper in your life, because when you come together with another person, you have that other person who has a complete journey in life, a calling, a purpose, whatever. You have yours. And the thing is, you're supposed to complement each other. So what I'm weak in, they may be strong in. What they're weak in, I may be strong in. And that's what we do to help lift each other up, grow each other. And the only one that knows better than that is our Creator. Well, I don't care if you believe in universe, vibrations, whatever it is. We don't know as much as we can't see it. So if you believe in dimensions, you believe in a universe and all that kind of stuff, we have no fathom to what all that is. So we know that there is a higher being, a higher power that actually has our just good, our best good in intention. So they need to bring that forward. Okay. And when they bring that forward, it's you're ready. It's sort of like the harvest is ready to pick the fruit, and it's ready. It's ripe. It's juicy, it's sweet, it's not fighting, it's not, oh my gosh, what did he say, what did he do, why did he do that, I'm arguing all the time. That's not the way it starts, and that's the way life should be. So when we allow that to come to us, now we go find it, then it will happen. So that's what I mean about, is it Creator or is it divine intervention? Because a lot of people won't allow that. So when we have a helper, it doesn't mean that you're going to complete me or do anything. It doesn't mean that if the man is a provider, or if a man, in this day and age, it takes two incomes almost anymore to make a household anyway. So when we expect what our grandparents and our parents and all that kind of did back then, when the dad did all the breadwinning, it doesn't work sometimes in this day and age. Yes, some things do, but most of the time it doesn't. We have to come together and work together and help each other build that. And so that's what the divine intervention is all about. And so it doesn't mean that because he's a man, he needs to know how to build a house. It doesn't mean that he needs to, go work, come home, sweat all day, come home, work, and do everything else all the time. It doesn't mean that. But it also doesn't mean that a woman has to know how to cook, clean, and be your maid, or be something of that nature, or be your mother. But the thing is that we come together and we figure out who's good at what, who's not good at what. If I'm not a good cook and he doesn't like to cook, we figure out, do we learn how to cook together? Or do we find that our income is going to have to increase if we're going to go out and eat all the time? So that's a togetherness. That is a divine intervention. That is communication. That is how we grow. And also, too, we understand that their perspective is not my perspective, or vice versa. And then we grow together in finding out and understanding each other's perspectives. Divine intervention. So then we go to the manipulation type. Okay, so this is majority of the people out there, and I was that way too for a while. I will admit it. I was that way too for a while, until I actually kept in my singleness for a while, and a while for me was a couple of years, like 4, 5, maybe even longer. I don't know, but it's been a long time, and that's okay because I've really learned to know myself, know what standards I need to keep, know what I will allow, what I won't allow, and then also too who I will let in and who I won't let in, because I now know and have educated myself enough about the games that men and women play in the dating. I won't I won't play those games. You get what you take, and I'll walk in truth and I'll be honest with you. But if you want to play games, that's a little boy's game. That's not a man that wants to play games. A man will actually come forward and be honest and say what he does, and be a man as far as how the standards of a real man will be. A boy will play, they'll go check the grass on the other side of the fence. They'll have 3, 4, 5, maybe a girlfriend for every day of the week, those kind of things. Now, I don't care if you come at me and you say, hey, you know what? Well, there's nothing wrong with that if we both want to do it. Hey, if you both want to do it and do that, but spiritually you're not happy because you keep looking, you keep trying, you keep making people you manipulate people the way that you want them to turn out. That's not happiness. And well, happiness comes from joy within anyway. So you're looking for external happiness out here, which doesn't last. And when you get older, you get saggy and old, and then a lot of women don't like saggy and old. So but that's the way it goes. These are my opinions now. Don't yell at me, because that's just my opinion, may not be yours. So anyway, so manipulation, there's a lot of different ways that I talk about manipulation in finding love. So we sometimes put ourselves, how many times have you women or men have gone and saw a pretty lady or a handsome guy and put yourself in a situation where you might just say hello? Okay, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But when you start manipulating to a point where you're actually moving something in a direction it shouldn't be, then that's manipulating. So, been there, done that. And it didn't work for very long. It did for a little short time, but it doesn't last because it's not supposed to be your soulmate or your mate for your soul. So the difference between a soul tie and a soul mate, now if a soul tie, you start dating somebody and you go a little bit overboard and you end up all the time, that you're actually putting two souls together, and no matter what, you have tied those two souls emotionally or physically or whatever. So say you meet somebody, you hook up with them, and then suddenly you go do your thing and you're gone for a while, and then all of a sudden you come back and you're like, hey, remember this? Oh yeah, we had a really good time. And soon, before you know, the end of the day, you go have dinner, go have coffee, and you're yeah, uh, that's a soul tie. It's not lasting. It's not really meant to be. It's not supposed to be. But now your souls are somewhat tied to each other in that sense. When you have a mate for your soul, that is something that is divinely intervened and that will actually come to you at the right time. So when we go out and we try to manipulate dates and things like that, or try to meet somebody even though you might know it's really not the right person for you, or you don't want to be rude, or maybe, oh hey, I'll give him a try, or him or her, give him a try, see where it goes. You know already that it's really not supposed to be. So that's why I'm going to go actually onto the subject of online dating, onto catfishing and all that kind of stuff. Because when we go onto these websites, whether it's, say you belong to Facebook and you're just on there, and then somebody, messages you that might have seen your Facebook and interested. This is there's a difference between social media and having your stuff out there than actually joining an online dating site, putting all your information in, putting your profiles in, making yourself known to be dating, and then putting yourself out there. That's different. It is very different because there's like LinkedIn is another one that actually is a social media for not only jobs and for all kinds of good things, but it's also a lot of the times your profile picture is out there, and maybe somebody in that same category might see you and like, oh, hey, we got some common interest and may contact you that way. It's not intended for dating, but it does have the possibility of an option or an opportunity there. So what I'm talking about is when you go on to these online dating sites and you're out there, but what you even put on your profile is manipulating to the other sex. So you can actually manipulate to a certain type of person that you are looking for. You can manipulate away. So if you go on your profile and you're saying that, you know what, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want, he's got to be an honest person, or I don't want a liar, I don't want a cheater, I don't want. So it's already sharing some of the stuff that you want and don't want. And you're already educating and manipulating the guy in how to treat you and know how to get you. Does that make sense? So if you put on there, I don't want a guy who lies. Oh, okay, cool. Not a problem. I'm an honest guy. You're already telling him how to be. So the thing is that when you go on these dating sites, you have to be really, really mindful in how you portray yourself in what you say, what you do, and how you want and what are looking for. Less is better, really. You can just put some highlights about who you are and what you do. Big mistake a lot of women do is they go on there and they spread out all of the information, which is really, really wrong, because you don't know who these people are out there. Most of the time, they're not who they say that they're going to be. And then if it is somebody in your local area, you don't know, men or women, if they're psychos. You really don't. So by putting out your information, even if they message you and you tell them your name or your phone number or whatever, you really need to be careful and mindful of that. And the thing is, with a lot of dating sites, a lot of these guys, I'm sorry to say it, women are out for a booty call. That's all they really, really want. They want a booty call. And if you're not willing to do that, then you need to actually really interview that guy a couple of times before you do that, or even meet with them. So on one of my websites, I do what I call international. I call it International Fight Against K-1 Visa Scams. So these people that actually go out there, these scammers that go out there, and they can be local, they can be all kinds of different nationalities and things like that. But there's a whole game and a whole gamut in that. And so when you go out looking for love, you have to be mindful of all that is going on. It can be so dangerous out there these days that we have to be mindful. But also on top of that, if you're looking for love, one, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be allowing it to come in. But if you feel that you need to do that, especially as we get older, in our 40s, late 30s, even early 30s and up, you have to be really, really mindful and careful. So I'm sort of going away from how to find love in either a spiritual way or a manipulative way, but I really want to focus on this manipulative way because women are getting hurt left and right, and they hear about it, and it's like, oh yeah, or I met him on the dating site, and some get married, some of them have a great connection, but I'd like to see in 10 years if it's still there, because a lot of the times things are manipulated, or they seem as they don't, or don't seem as they are, put it that way. So the thing is that what we want to look at is, if you are on these dating websites, how to be careful about, and how to know if you're being catfished, if you're being scammed, if you're being even close to that. So as I go into that right now, because this is what I educate. I've helped people all over the world save themselves from a lot of heartache, a lot of their family being involved in something that they don't need to be involved in, and a lot of hurt from a person, but also too uh, financial. There's a lot. There, it's a game, unfortunately, and it is just something I educate and help people so that they don't fall into that. So I'm going to move into sort of catfishing. So if you have a family member or a loved one that actually could have been catfished, this is where you would probably wanna watch, because I see women going out there trying to find love. I see men going out there trying to find love. And in fact, we all know about, I'm sure you should know about this stupid show called 90 Day Fiance. It's all a joke. I mean, somebody just found a way to monetize over other people's, I don't like to say ignorance, but it is ignorance in understanding what it is all about. And they're hurt. Their families are hurt. Their families are divided, and they found a way to monetize on it, which is really sad. So when you go on these dating sites, and I'm sure many of you either are on one, or even if you're on a social media and you have you're just innocently out there and somebody instant messages you or tries to contact you, of course, no one give out your phone number. If you give out your phone number, make sure it's a dump phone or a phone that you're willing to change your number on. Because the thing is that if they ask for your phone number, they can actually set up another, depending on the website, they can set up another profile and steal people's information under your phone number. Don't give out your emails, because if you give out your email, have a dump email, a junk email that you don't care that goes somewhere. Because if you give out your email address, they can also build another profile, and they can steal from PayPal and other places. I caught one guy who was fake, and he actually had somehow gotten my email and opened up another profile, at least one, and also because this was my dump email, and also when I called that company, I said, "Hey, I'm concerned that this has happened, that he's open," and I said, "But I'm afraid that he's stolen somebody's PayPal money. So can we please check into this?" And after a few minutes and some time on the phone and discussions and on hold back and forth, he had so many phone numbers and people's profiles that he was stealing money all over the left and right. Check your PayPals, keep on top of your PayPals. So you don't want to do that. Dump phone number, dump email. Don't ever give out your information, because here's the thing. In criminal justice, I can go on. If you give me certain information, simple information, I can find out where you live, where your address is. I can find out all kinds of information about you. And you don't want somebody doing that, because you don't know how wacko they are, especially if you have kids and a daughter and you have to worry about them, you know. And as a single person, women, I'm talking to women, don't be so vulnerable and hungry and desperate to find a guy. Really, really, please. Because the thing is, they see it, they know it, they smell it, they feel it, they know. And so it's all about your profile, how you've written your profile and the whole thing. Now, the other thing too is, once you're on there and somebody reaches out to you, then you actually, I can tell you two, in one, give me one message, one 3 sentence, 4 sentence message, I'll tell you if they're fake. And the thing is, that's what I help people. I helped a woman in Paris one time. She's like, "I don't know what to do. I can't get rid of him. He wants me to come, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, so I helped her, but she had to change her phone number. She had to change her emails. And the thing is, once she can change it, once you can change your phone number, your email, and everything, the thing is that you're now in a circle of people. This is not just one person sitting on a computer. I've been to Africa, and I have physically watched and seen how these people work. these scammers, not not all Africans, but the scammers, how they work. And it just, I was like sick to my stomach, but this is how they do it. And so you've got one person that actually has stepped out for a moment. He's given that information to another guy, and that guy is going to try to contact you under another name. And if you block that one, there's another circle. It's a circle. So even if they step back for a while, they're going to come back to you either with a different name or anything like that. So you got to be really, really careful. So if it's somebody local, okay, and you meet with them, have a background check done. Get their real name and have a background check, or do your own background check. There are websites out there where you can actually just look them up to protect yourselves. And if you want one of those, just give me an email and I'll shoot it off to you. But the thing is, you've got to be mindful, because when somebody, especially, let's go back to somebody out of the country, don't even go there. Please, I'll give you first-hand knowledge, second-hand knowledge. I'll give you other people that have been through it. They've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. They've actually got themselves into a marriage, and maybe a child involved, or children involved, or maybe they're having a child with that person. And when I was in Africa, and actually a affluent person in New York, and back in the day, we were actually swapping information, and there is a list, and this is no joke, because there is a list of 38 things that actually these catfishers follow, and they have coaches. They have coaches in their country. They have coaches wherever they go, whatever country. It doesn't matter what country they go to. They just want to get out of their country. And the thing is that there is 38 things they follow. And if they follow those 38 things, they are guaranteed to be a citizen of that country with no problem. Now, for them to follow that, it's a pattern. It's just a pattern, but that's how they're coached. Now, when there's a glitch in their list, then they go to their coach. What do I do? What do I do? How do I handle this? What do I do? They have a whole slew of people that they go to because they've already done it. So you have to be careful and mindful about who you're even allowing. If they're out of the country, please don't. Just stop right there. Oh, but he loves me. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. There is no way. And here's the thing. You have to go to their country in order to allow anything to happen with a K-1 visa. He cannot come here and just tour and visit and then go back there. It doesn't work that way. And if you go over there and you're like, oh, I fell in love and I married him in the country, well, good luck with that, because it'll take him years to be able to come back here. But the point of all of this is it's through manipulation. It's through lies. The family's in on it. Their friends are in it, because when they get to the other country, everybody's going to benefit from it, because they're going to send all that money back and all that stuff back to the country, the people that helped them. And that's the way it works. That's for people that are out of the country. Now, in the country, inside the country, and by the way, they're not remorseful. They're not sorry at all, because most of these countries, and you have to understand, if you don't understand, you need to go to a third world country, and then you will understand, because they're in a situation that they have no other way. They don't know how to. They're so poor that they don't know any other way, and it's okay. Because they think, for us here in the USA, that the USA is so rich, and they have been taught and told through movies and whatever that America is so rich that whatever is going to happen, we'll be in a better place. Well, they will be in a better place, because, trust me, I've seen it. Third world is not a place where you want to be. I do understand their concept and why sometimes they do that, but the way they go about doing it is completely wrong. It's really wrong. So when they get here and they realize that they are not streets of gold, what they've been told, and that everything is not easy like it's been told, then nobody back home believes the ones that are now in the United States. So that when they're in the United States, you, as the person who brought them here, are going to end up being their sponsor, and you're going to end up with a lot more trouble and heartache than what you ever imagined. And let me tell you and share you on that. But it's all, again, manipulated. So is this really a love that you want that is manipulated through lies, deceit? That's more of a dark side to me, not of God and of the light. It is not. So you have to be mindful. You have to protect yourself, your heart, your family, because they will be affected. Your finances will be affected. They don't care if you're on welfare or not. Let me tell you right now, if you're watching this and on your welfare, they don't care. All they care about is as soon as they put their foot on the soil of another country, they've won. They care. I don't care about a green card. I don't care. Okay, don't care about a green card. They'll disappear just so they can stay in the country. This is what I'm talking about. When you go online and you look for love, these are some of the things that you have to be wary of. And yeah, I'm hoping it scares you enough that you could think twice about it, because this is not the way God intended love to be. Now, if you're online and say you're local, okay, and you start talking, you should give that person 3 dates. That's it. 3 dates. Because if you think about it, you have your standards and what you're looking for. And in 3 dates, as you would go to a job, there's 3 interviews. By that 3rd interview, they know if they want to hire you or not. By that 3rd date, you should know if this is a person of morals, character, integrity, and what you're looking for. And if they aren't, time to go. Time to stop wasting your time and move on. And if they are something of potential, there's no sleeping together, at least for the 10, but I would say 10 dates. But the thing is, I wouldn't even go that far. You know what? They like to work for their relationships. They like to work hard. If it's a true man, they want to make sure themselves that they're getting what they want for their life, because remember, it's coming together as helpers. So they have fears, they have questions, they have motivations. So the last thing you guys should be doing is sleeping in bed. In all reality, it's time to get to know each other a little bit, make sure, because if you already sleep in bed and then you find out, it's like, oh man, what was I doing? That was so stupid. Yeah, it was. Because in all reality, maybe you should have waited, so then things would be more beautiful. Because if you do fall in love, then what a more beautiful thing, rather than just hooking up and, yeah, you know what I mean? So in all reality, where do we find love? We find love actually from it coming to us, and it comes to us when we're ready. Manipulation, there is so many ways that, and this video could go on for days if I wanted to talk about manipulation. My concern for women and men out there is the manipulation of the internet and the social medias. And also too, if they're in another state, are you planning on moving? Because they're not. Most of the time, they're not. And if they say they are, come on now. If they're of any age, and if they're settled, and if they're got their jobs, they've got a home, who's going to uproot all that just for an online date? No, you got to be realistic about your expectations of anybody. Because a lot of the times when we expect something and the reality doesn't match, we get disappointed and hurt. Right? So we want to make sure that they're somewhat local, or if at least driving range, maybe a 3-hour driving range. If a guy cannot drive to you within a 3-hour driving range, or you drive to him, or you guys meet up, then they're not interested. They're not interested. And if they were at first, and then all of a sudden it's too long of a drive, I just don't really, then they're not interested. Move on. Move on, because anybody who really, really wants a relationship, especially men, allow that man to pursue you. Allow that man to work for your prize, which is you, because you are the prize. And if they can't, or they don't want to, then there's a reason. And so you have to think twice about that. So in that sense. But I really wanted to talk a lot about catfishing because it is very manipulative. It extremely hurtful to not only you, your family, your finances. I've seen people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen, uh, and it doesn't mean don't go and sit there. Oh, they're from Africa. No, some of these are from Russia. Some of them are Philippine, New Zealand. It doesn't matter what country. They just want to get out and be in another country. And so don't even think it's just straight from one country. It's from harder areas in the world that actually think that another country has more to offer for them than what they have. So you want to be mindful in that. So also too, in dating, in if it's not online dating, or if it is something, you just have to be mindful of the mind games that men play more on women. And I'm sorry to say that, guys, but you guys you guys have a slew of games, and so you have to be mindful as a woman to know what those are and know that you're not being manipulated, but those are actually true feelings, because a lot of the times they just want to get in your pants. That's just part of who they are. They want to, if they can figure a way to tap it, they're going to figure a way to tap it. And if you educate them through everything that you tell them, when some guy asks you, what are you looking for in a guy? Don't sit there and give them a whole freaking list, a toilet paper roll list of what you're looking for. Just say, I know what I'll see it. Because they then have no clue how to play the game with you. If you sit there and tell them, oh, I'm looking for somebody that's 6 foot, I'm looking for somebody that is, honest, loving, compassionate, and they're just a total ass, then, yeah, then they know how to act. They know how to put the act on. And that's the game. And that the game is manipulating. The intent is not an honest intent. You're looking for an honest intent, truthful intent, whether you like it or not. They say, hey, yeah, I'm out for a booty call. Okay, thank you for being honest. Not what I'm looking for. Been there, done that. So be mindful of that, and have respect for yourself and value for yourself and love for yourself, because the divine will bring that person to you when it is meant to be. So this has been actually sort of a long video. I have so much more I want to say, but I will save it for another one. I'm sorry to talk so much about catfishing, but there's so much going on out there. And by the way, when you're looking at those profiles or somebody contacts you, there is a way to do a reverse picture check. Please do that to know if somebody's profile has been stolen. Nothing angers me more than stolen profiles, but also stolen pictures, especially of our military and our service people, using them to say that they're in another country or they're moving. If they say, oh yeah, I'm stationed over, immediately it's a lie. But the thing is, when they steal these profiles, you want to make sure that you know that they're stolen. So I think it's called ITIN, ITIN, where you can do a reverse check on the photo to see if it's been used before, see if it's been stolen. And even if it says that there is nothing, that doesn't mean that it isn't stolen. If you have any questions, please get me on the information down below and email me, Facebook me, go through my website, contact me. If you put a comment here, I will respond. But if you feel at all that you're doing any of this, or somebody you're just not quite sure, or a family member, I was out at a client's barn once, and the manager, the owner of the barn, said that she was feared for her worker because he had spent $50,000 on a woman in another country that said that she was coming, and he believed her and kept. And I will tell you, ladies, that, and men, because this happens to men. When I was in Africa, I was appalled at the young women with elder men and the young men with elder women, and it's embarrassing, it's sad, it's just so sad for them, because it's all manipulations and lies. It's a joke in all these countries. It really, really is. It is a truthful joke. There's comic books, they call you the golden age or the golden, because most of the victims they shoot for are in their 30s on up, because there are 20s now. If you there are 20s, because if they can get a young girl and naive and, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so, everything I'm looking for, okay, it's just to get to the country for their family. Please, even your daughters, send them to me, and I'll try to educate them, because I can definitely show them some stuff. But the thing is that, um, this is they go for more the 30s on up, because you've been through a divorce, you are looking for love. They know the games of what to say, because you're telling them in your profiles what you want, what you're looking for, so they are going to act and play that game. And it is a joke, because you will see literally young men, old women. And I'm talking about a 25, 30-year-old guy with a 60, 70-year-old woman, and vice versa. So be mindful of that. Please be mindful of that. What do you have in common if you're in your 60s with a 25 or 30-year-old guy? Literally. Or vice versa. Seriously, think about this. And if your kids are younger than the person that you're going to try to date, it's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's only for their gain. So really think about this. Really think about it. Anyway, that's where that is. What we want to do with love, we want to wait for it to come to us through our divine bringing it to us, because it is the right time, the right place, the right season. We are coming in whole. We're not coming in broken, where we need to rescue, or we need to rescue somebody, or they need to rescue us. And yeah, because that will not last. It will get old. That we want to come in whole, each other whole, helping each other. We do not want to come in through manipulation. All right. I hope this was helpful. I know this was long, but I really needed to get this information out. I'm getting people that I cry, because it's just, it's very hurtful to see that the children are being affected. And we make the mistakes as adults, but our children are being affected. And that's got to stop, because it's not fair to them. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon again. Bye.